This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, Internet world, West Alabama. How we doing today on this Monday? It is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. You're hanging out with us in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios. We are live on Monday, hanging out with you guys. We want to apologize first about Friday's show. We had a little bit of a family, a family member passed away, so we had a funeral on Friday, and I thought I was going to be able to make a show, and that did not happen. But everything is back on track. We enjoyed the college football playoff. Ooh, Mason Woods. It's very interesting to hear myself again in my headphones, so it's making it a very fun start right here on this Monday. Mason Woods joins us. You can follow Mason Woods at MAWoods_ on the Twitter machine. He is not sitting with us in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios. He is with his family off in parts unknown Alabama, and we'll check out. We don't want to give it away. We don't want to give away the location. All the fans would flock to you. But we're live on a Monday. We want to react to college football playoff. We want to talk about 4 transfer portalees. We want to talk about an Alabama basketball game. And we just want to get you through a Monday as we're on Christmas Eve. And we're so thankful for everybody in this season. You follow us at Joe Gaither 6. You follow us at BamaCentral on the YouTube channel and right there on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon. So with that, Mason Woods, how we doing today, sir?
Doing good. Had a nice weekend. Got to see some family. Still spending some time with some family. So it's been a great weekend. The playoff was not exactly what I had hoped it would be, the first round at least, but we'll get into that. There's some interesting games.
Oh gosh. Okay, so we only spent a couple minutes before the show, but we both kind of admitted I didn't follow the transfer portalees as much as I should have, but you might have not followed the college football playoff as much as you should. I watched all 4 games. Well, I watched 3 of the 4 games. I listened to every single snap of Texas and Clemson on the drive back from Chattanooga to Tuscaloosa, so I listened to that on the Texas Radio Network. It was what the bleep? What in the world? I mean, all 4 games turned out to be total duds, and people are going to talk about, Indiana only lost by 10. They only lost by 10. And okay, you're right. But Notre Dame totally smacked them up and down the field until they kind of called off the dogs and went into shutdown mode. And, of course, Indiana was still playing, and you got to give them credit for that. But Notre Dame was never losing that game. Texas, same sort of way. Clemson got close a couple of different times in that matchup, but Texas seemed to always be in control. It seemed like Texas was doing some unusual things, maybe going for it down in the goal line. Maybe they should have kicked a field goal. Maybe start getting a little bit fancy. But still, the point is, none of these games, Penn State never threatened by SMU. Ohio State never threatened by Tennessee. Never threatened even in 1 second.
I couldn't believe that. I mean, that was, I saw many of the Crimson Tide faithful, hammering the I'm rooting for Ohio State today. I'm rooting for Ohio State. I was not in that camp. I will never be able to root for Ohio State.
But you weren't rooting for Tennessee, were you?
I kind of just wanted like a meteor to hit the field and maybe take everybody out. But I think it would have been
because I was going to say that's a one-way exit from this show. Rudy for Tennessee, you're off the show.
For narrative's sake, I do think it would have been funny to see Ryan Day go out in the first round of the playoff, only to bolster the case to fire him. However, now that he has won in the first round of the playoff, it might even be funnier if he goes on and wins the whole thing, and then they have a real debate over, well, the guy can't beat Michigan, but he just won a title. So that's aside the point, though. This was not the way I expected that game to go. I really thought that Tennessee would take from the Michigan playbook, kind of play Ohio State the same way they did Alabama, and just hammer Dylan Sampson, just hammer him on defense. And Ohio State said, no, not today. We're going to throw the ball to Jeremiah Smith. We're going to throw the ball to Emeka Egbuka. We're going to get the ball to our playmakers, and they did just that.
Mason, you want to know the heartbreaking part about that? all those shots that Ohio State took to Mekabuka and to Jeremiah Smith and to the wide receiver core were there for Jalen Milroe. That's what I mean. Look, everybody's talking about, Jalen Milroe threw the ball 40 times. Like, you just saw it. If you can complete the passes, they're there. And Tennessee's going to get run out of the building, and they can't hang with you. So that was a little bit of a frustrating part. But look, that Tennessee, Josh Heupel needs to go fire his strength and conditioning coach or whoever approved of the shirtless warm-ups. Because look, I understand. You're going out, you're playing in probably the coldest game you've played in all year. You want to send a message to your team and to yourself that it doesn't matter. But let's just look. This is not 1960 anymore, Mason. This is not. We have some science now. We know that when you go out into colder temperatures, you're basically core kind of withdraw. You basically withdraw blood flow to your core, and so you're going out in warm-ups, but you're not. But you're putting your body into confusion because yes, I'm warming up and I'm running, and so but I'm doing it without a shirt, so my internal core is basically sending my body into overdrive. Right, exactly. Sending my body into overdrive. And so before the first snap is played, I've already burned X amount of my energy for the day and like just off of a stunt.
Yeah, it looked cool for the cameras, but that was about it.
Just, it's idiotic. And I can't believe that Josh Heupel didn't have somebody pull him aside and be like, hey, you need to go pull those guys off the field right now and get them into shirts because while this is cool and like, look, embrace the cold. It's part of the game. Embrace it. But, you look across the other side, Ohio State, who's played in the cold, the last half of the season, obviously a little much colder in Ohio through November, through late October and November. They're out there in sleeves and in gear appropriate for the weather, warming up because that's just what you do. Like it's okay to say it's cold. We got to wear gloves. We got to wear sleeves. And here's your hot hands. Let's go warm up properly and execute. That stunt, I think, totally not only took them out of the game mentally, but I think, zapped you in the trenches and you had no adrenaline, and Ohio State basically said, all right, here we go. Jab, jab, jab. Game is over.
Yeah. I mean, the game was over before. I mean, it was like, 21-0 in the first quarter, I think. Maybe 21-3 or something, I think. Yeah, it was over before the game really even got fully going. Ohio State jumped on them so fast. Tennessee just had no answer for anything. Yeah, it was ugly. Volunteers got to go back to the drawing board with that because you spent all this money to get all these players and everything the last couple of years, and you get to the big game, and that's the performance you have. That's ugly.
Nico Iamaleava. Was that was not an $8 million performance, but what? He's just a sophomore,
redshirt freshman, right? Or is he a redshirt sophomore now?
Okay, either one. He's got plenty of time left to grow a little bit from this experience.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't play great.
Let me ask you. You said you didn't get to watch much because you were enjoying family, and you should have. And any of you, I want to ask you: do you think you had a common experience across the state of Alabama? Because ratings came in pretty poorly for these games.
Probably. I don't think many people were super locked in, especially in the state of Alabama. I think it was a lot of people just kind of not watching it out of spite, probably because Alabama got left out. And, there was other bowl games on and things, there was this is the time of year where a lot of people are hanging around with their family, doing things like that, Christmas time. So I think it was, it was a culmination of things. But certainly these matchups on paper to the casual football fan were not super overwhelming or not super exciting. So I think just the normal person who turns on a football game to have some background noise, they might not have seen this and been like, "Ooh, I need to get that game on my TV."
See, that was so surprising to me, and I wonder if they all started with big eyes. I don't really know how the science of the ratings work, but I do know that the ratings came in pretty poorly, especially compared to you had NFL on another channel on Saturday.
That certainly did not help.
Those NFL games got higher ratings, but. Look, for me, Friday night, okay, I'm going to family funeral Friday, help that side of the family kind of take care of some business Friday afternoon. But by Friday night, 8 o'clock, it was Eastern time, 8 o'clock Eastern, I'm there with my family. We're watching the game. This is what we're going to do in the night. And, you know, I might have had everybody in the room for... How long did it take? How long did it take that young man to hit that 98-yard touchdown for Notre Dame? What was it? Jeremiah
early,
Love. Jeremiah
wasn't
Love.
Jeremiah
It
Love.
was. They get the intercept. So Notre Dame throws an interception. Gets it, picks it up in the air, interception, and then Indiana comes back down the field. Yeah, they come right back. They come down the field, and they look like they're going to go up 7-0 before Rourke throws an interception, basically on the goal line. And the next play, Jeremiah Love goes 98 yards, and several people in my party were, wow, and basically to their phones and to their other activities.
Yeah, that was how most of my because the game was on. I was at my grandparents' house that night. The game was on, but it was after that minute it was clear that everybody shifted their focus away from the TV to, all right, how's everybody else doing? What's been going on? How's life? It just kind of filled the background noise.
So Mason, I had a lot of mixed feelings this weekend. After the college football playoff selection and Alabama was left out, I thought, okay, that's probably the right decision.
Yeah.
But my goodness, the ACC. I mean, okay, you got to put somebody in. You got to get the champion in. Good job, Clemson. And Clemson played. They quitted themselves. At least from my ears. They top 5 conference champions. Well, Clemson was one of them.
That's what I'm saying. We got to get rid of that. These automatic qualifiers are ruining the competitive integrity of this.
I'm good with the automatic qualifiers. I'm not good with the automatic qualifiers go straight to the bye. You've jacked the seedings are completely messed up because
Arizona
have Georgia
State SMU would have been an awesome game.
Oh yes, 1,000%. And you've got Georgia who has Notre Dame, and you have Oregon who has Ohio State. Right? Those are the 2 SEC and Big Ten champions. They got rewarded with Notre Dame and Ohio State. The losers, the Texas and Penn State, the SEC runner-up and Big Ten runner-up. Oh, Big Ten, Penn State, you get who? You're not at Arizona State. You are at Boise State. You got Boise State. Okay, you get Boise State, and Texas gets Arizona State in the Peach Bowl. Like, the runners-ups get better matchups in the those would be the quarterfinals, right? In the quarterfinals, then the champions. That's
does
messed
not make
up.
much
It
sense.
is totally messed up. And so, okay, look, it still stinks that Alabama wasn't in it. And I thought, I'm watching SMU and I'm thinking, you jokers fell for the 11 wins, 11-1. And I thought, the sentiment, we go back to that Monday and we talked about, it was emotion. They felt the emotion. And I admitted to you, Mason, I thought I would probably be emotional as well in putting SMU in. Oh, but my gosh, did it ruin the weekend.
Sure enough, yeah, it did. That was. I mean, from very similar to kind of the Tennessee Ohio State game. It was just like right from the beginning. Okay, Penn State is going to run away with this one. SMU, they are not physical enough. SMU cannot match up in the trenches. They can't really match up anywhere with Penn State. I don't want to sit here and play the ifs, ands, or buts game, about, Alabama would have played Penn State a lot closer, or Alabama would have played so-and-so a lot closer. Alabama didn't make it. At the end of the day, they didn't make it. It is what it is. But yeah, there is certainly a disappointing crop of first round games. And I think moving forward, the College Football Playoff Committee will be looking to ensure maybe this doesn't happen again in any way they can.
Excuse me, Mason. I had some coffee go down the wrong pipe. Ooh. Almost died over here in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios. Would have to call Derek at 205-758-3391. Hey, man, come help me out downstairs.
He would have been right down
Call
there to
Derek
help you
today.
out.
He absolutely would have. Call Derek today for all of your insurance needs. Call him 205-758-3391. Call and see how much Derek can save you today. He almost had to save my life. Yeah. It was just an annoying because look, as someone working in media and as a lover of college football, it was just a really disappointing weekend because, okay, I'm going into the weekend with my family and they're all looking to me for opinions. And I'm like, one, I hate that because I love it because they love me and they want to connect with me. And that's great. Absolutely. But, Mason, you know this. If it hasn't been directly with Alabama, then my level of knowledge is pretty base level, just going to get you by. I haven't watched every game that SMU plays, and I haven't watched every game that Clemson plays, and every game that Indiana, and usually that's how I like to make my picks. Yes, it takes a little bit longer, but I feel like it's a much more educated opinion. I was like, oh, well, I think SMU might keep it close. I think Clemson could upset Texas,
Yeah. I definitely thought Clemson had a
Notre
chance.
Dame. I was like, I thought Notre Dame, Indiana's going to be a good little slugfest, like 17-20, back and forth, this, that, and the other. And I thought Ohio State, Tennessee was going to be electric track meet, back and forth, 49-42, Absolutely
Not one of those
embarrassing
games went.
performances.
Yeah, none of those games went the way I thought they were going to. I talked about them on the podcast on Friday, and I just completely was completely wrong about how I thought those games were going to go.
Oh, yeah, speaking of that, absolutely. Since I missed my show Friday, I hope everybody who was looking for any content found the All Things Bama podcast. Mason put out another episode. He's doing them weekly on Fridays. Mason, what did you talk about on All Things Bama podcast, and where can they get that? Bonus content.
Yeah, I mean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you can find it there. You can read about it on Alabama Crimson Tide on SI. I talked about.
So I left you ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, it was fine. It went pretty smoothly. You mentioned it, and we'll get into it a little bit on this show. But the transfers that Alabama got this week, I talked in, like I said, he tried to preview the college football playoff, but did so pretty poorly because those games just went not at all how I thought they were going to. And then
how did you? What did you say? Just
similar
about how you thought they'd go.
I really thought that Notre Dame and Indiana would kind of be just a rock fight, like you said, a slugfest, kind of that 17-10, maybe even lower scoring than that. I thought it was just going to be two teams punching each other in the mouth for 60 minutes, and it turned out to just be a tune-up game for Notre Dame, basically. And then same with Ohio State, Tennessee. I kind of thought it was going to be a fun shootout. We get to see both offenses really scoring a lot of points. Get to see Nico slinging the ball, get to see Jeremiah Smith catching a lot of touchdowns. And we got to see one of those things, but Tennessee just didn't show up in Columbus.
One of these draft experts, I don't know who it was that I saw, but said that if Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams were eligible in this draft class, that Jeremiah Smith would still be the top pick and Ryan Williams would be like 3 or 4 behind Travis Hunter and somebody else. I'm like, all right, buddy. Jeremiah Smith, though, what an impressive player. What an impressive player. Absolutely. I saw comparisons to Julio Jones over the weekend. Stinks to be out of it, Mason, especially, I guess that's my concluding thought on the first round. Alabama, you did it to yourselves. You look in the mirror. You had everything in front of you. Like, you watched that SMU game. You watch that SMU game and you see Malachi Moore go onto Twitter and just tweet ... He didn't say anything, but that's all he said. ... And you can kind of infer. Courtney Morgan just tweets disgusting. That's all he tweets. Disgusting. You got other Alabama pundits, Alabama people within the program, players, former players tweeting about Alabama getting left out again. And are you right? Yes, you're right. But goodness gracious, you did it to yourselves. You did it to yourselves. And that's what's so dang annoying about this weekend is, could you beat Penn State? Maybe, maybe not. Penn State might win anyways. Notre Dame might win anyways. You never know. Obviously, the matchups, the seeding, how that would have worked. But you're either at Penn State or you're at Notre Dame. And those two teams might have beat you anyways, Alabama. But goodness gracious, you might have won. and you might have played well, and you might be in this next round if all you did to do was take care of your business. Take care of your business in Norman. And so that's what I'm left with. Frustration, further frustration from a team that I think is one of the best 12 teams in the country and talented enough to compete with Penn State, with Notre Dame, with Indiana, SMU, and Clemson. It just left with further disgust.
Yeah,
I'm
hoping that the the second round is a little more competitive, maybe, and that'll at least, it's still, like you said, it's still going to be just somewhat frustrating watching, knowing that Alabama should be there, but shouldn't. I don't know. Shouldn't be there. Are they one of the best teams? I still think they are. Should you have gone to Norman, Oklahoma and lost?
They should be there.
But
they should be there, but they messed it up for themselves.
Yeah, it's disappointing. It's probably going to be a frustrating day again watching those games, but hopefully maybe they'll at least be competitive this time. I think we have some potential for maybe some decent games.
I think we do. I think that it will be. I mean, I wish, goodness gracious, I know we're not going to go to 14 teams until 2026, but in 2025, we at least need to readjust our seeding. We said it before we started about automatic qualifiers. Mm-hmm. I don't have a problem with automatic qualifiers, but you can't automatically put Boise State at 3 and Arizona State at 4 just because they won the conference championship. They got to be seeded with the rest of the field. You can't junk up the matchups that way because of the seed. It's just messed up. I don't care. Mm-hmm. You want to do top 5 conference champions, make the field, great. But if they make the field at 12, 11, 10, 9, and 8, that's so be it. Obviously, that's a crazy. That's not going to happen. But so be it. If that's what it were to be, then so be it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I think like we said, given the 4 basically blowouts. I know, Indiana, Notre Dame technically by points was kept a little close, but that was a blowout from start to finish pretty much.
Use your eyes. The people that want to play that game, they only lost by 10. You didn't watch the game. Notre Dame beat the brakes off of them.
Never one moment where that game was out of question. Not 1 second.
Did you see the Notre Dame, I guess it was an offensive lineman in the tunnel before the game, hyping his guys up?
I did. 4 quarters of FU football.
Yeah. It was just, I'm bleeping tired of talking. I'm bleeping tired of this and bleeping that and bleeping this. God put us on this earth for this bleeping day, and I'm bleeping so proud to bleeping be here with you and I. Oh, I'm so proud to be here with you. We're going to go play 4 quarters of bleep you football. And they did. They absolutely did.
I don't think that's a team that, even though I wish Alabama had been in the playoff, I'm not sure that's a team I would have wanted to see Alabama play.
You say that? Oh, yeah. You how does this defense react to 4 quarters of bleep you football? Oh, I don't know. I don't know how good I feel about that.
Very well throughout the season.
Exactly. To the teams that ran that game plan. Exactly. But it wasn't a bad weekend for Alabama and Alabama football. I mean, frustrating to watch if you watch the playoffs. But if you were watching the offseason tracker on BamaCentral, BamaCentral.com, Alabama on SI, we had several additions. And goodness gracious, Katie Wyndham. If you don't follow Katie Wyndham at Katie Wyndham _, you need to. Because she's all over everything. She had all these write-ups before these guys made their decisions. And of course, she's got good sources, very good. That's my point. Follow her. She had everything written up, and as soon as the guys made their announcement, bam, they're on BamaCentral.com. And like we said, I was a little bit off the radar. Alabama adds an offensive lineman in Cam Dewberry from Texas A&M. You add Isaiah Horton, wide receiver from Miami. We've talked a little bit about him. And you add Nikhil Hill-Green from Colorado. And you also add a Utah cornerback in Cam Calhoun. Mason Woods, you get a haul, really, of some studs. Let's start with the linebacker. because you had some conversations already with Mr. Nikai Hill Green, unless you want to
Yeah.
pronounce it differently, Nikai Hill Green. So what are we getting? This guy's transferred from looks like transferred from Michigan already as well. He's transferred a couple times, Colorado and Michigan. He's been all over the place. What did you tell us about your conversation with him, and what do we see about this guy?
Yeah, a bit of a tumultuous journey throughout college. He was spent 3 years at Michigan. He played his freshman and sophomore seasons, then he gets hurt his third year, gets a medical red shirt, and then after coming back, he transferred to Charlotte and only spent a year there. Again, was relatively productive. Not anything eye popping or anything like that. But he goes to play for Dion last year at Colorado and had a great season. He had like 80 some odd tackles, 2 sacks, 2 picks. It was really just a good linebacker, good solid linebacker. And yeah, I was able to talk with him a little bit this morning over text. He we didn't really see each other face to face or anything like that, but I was able to ask him because he did overlap a bit with Alabama general manager Courtney Morgan while he was at Michigan. So I asked him about that relationship, and he said that was a big thing that played big role in helping him make this decision to choose Alabama. I asked him about the 4-2-5 defense, and he thinks that why he felt it was a place that he had better opportunities as opposed to other schools, and to hear him say it, it's
excuse me. Does he see himself inside? Is he going to be an inside linebacker? Is he going to be basically the Jahad Campbell replacement?
As I understand it, that
is that
probably what he's
we're
going
thinking?
to do. Yeah, that's kind of what we're thinking. Obviously, he seems
things can
to
change, but I would just ask. Yeah.
I think that's what he translates to well. I think that you look at what he did at Colorado. He did a lot of similar things. Obviously it's a different scheme, but as far as just his responsibilities in that defense, I think it's similar to he can probably step in and kind of fill a similar role for Alabama. But he says he's excited about getting into this new scheme. He says it creates a lot of matchup problems for offenses. It allows the linebackers to play really fast. Let's see what else. He did say Alabama was basically the first team to reach out to him. So I think Courtney Morgan has maybe had his eyes on him for a while. He entered the transfer portal back on December 16th, and he said Alabama very, very quickly was reaching out to him, and they made an emphasis on wanting to get him in town for a visit and get him here on a day where he could see a practice. And he said once he saw practice, he was like, all right, I'm locked in. So it seems like they're running a pretty tight ship there in Tuscaloosa, getting these transfer guys in. I think I think he's going to be a good player, a very, very experienced player. He transferred a lot, but there's a little more to it than just, I'm bouncing around because I'm getting better opportunities at places. He did have the injury and things like that. So
I think you can be a little more liberal with your transfers now that with who you're taking, with the expansion of the roster from 85 to 105 with the scholarships. But you are always going to look. Inside linebacker was going to be an issue. You got Deontay Lawson coming off a knee injury. I mean, wish him the best and hope and expect him to be great. But goodness gracious, from a guy who has had 5 knee surgeries, you're not the same.
Yeah,
you're not the same.
You're always going to be a little different.
So I hope for him the best. But that's going to be a big question mark. Will Justin Jefferson follow the Diego Pavia route and try to get an extra year of eligibility? I would guess not. I would guess that he's going to try to get himself into a more professional setting, whether that be NFL, UFL, or something else. And Todd Campbell, probably a top 25 draft pick.
Think so.
Yeah, probably top 28 draft pick. I think he's a first rounder, but I think he's probably going to be 12 to 27 in that range. Is probably going to be where I see him falling, which is still great money. And you got to go if you're 12 to 27. You got to go, and so that leaves you with Justin Okoronkwo, Jeremiah Alexander, and more young players: Caden Jones, Sterling Dixon, QB Reese, all these young boys who are true freshmen this year who might be good, might be great, might be amazing, but totally inexperienced. I think getting this guy, Nikai Hill Green. Now, here's what we want to do, Mason. Can I pressure you?
Yeah.
Ask him if he wants to jump on and join us. 10 minutes.
Okay. We'll see if we can get him to join.
Because I want to know his best Dion story. And if he's got a good one, I want to know his best Dion. Yeah, I just want to pick his brain. What was Dion like?
How many times did
people
y'all have to listen to "Perfect Timing" by Shadur Sanders last year in the locker room?
Obviously, I guess that's a long shot, and maybe I don't know if he's technically now behind the Alabama media wall.
Not sure.
But you're not really enrolled yet. I don't know. Just see if he wants to jump on and join us one of these days. That'd be a lot of fun. A post Christmas gift to the fans. 10 minutes with 10 minutes with Nikai Hill Green. All right, let's keep going. That's the linebacker. You want to go cornerback, you want to go wide receiver, or you want to go offensive lineman? I mean, you hit on 3 huge positions. Great job, Coach.
Yeah, these are we went position by position, was it last week? And these were like basically all of them that we indicated were spots you maybe needed to go get somebody's, and they did exactly that. I think let's go cornerback because I'm excited about this guy.
Cam Calhoun from Utah. Cam Calhoun, the third transfer portal league commitment. He's going to have 3 years remaining. He came right after Kelby Collins and David Byrd, so he was right before Nikai Hill Green and Isaiah Horton. Let's see, 6 foot, 180 pounds, 21 tackles last year, 9 pass breakups, and 1 interception. He was the number 4 cornerback in the transfer portal. Secondary, job, big knee. This is just more exposition on the player. Former 4-star recruit out of Winton Woods in Cincinnati, Ohio, ranked the number 46 cornerback in the 2024 class and the number 12 prospect in the state of Ohio. He's quite a history. He chose West Virginia, then decommitted, then Cincinnati, then decommitted, then Michigan, then decommitted. Then Michigan. And then transferred to Utah prior to this season. All right, so the man's been all over everywhere, but now he's going to be at Alabama. You said you like him. What do you like about Cam Calhoun?
Yeah, I mean, the little bit of highlights I was able to see from him, it seems like he is very, very active as a cornerback. He has very, 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 very active hands. He's breaking up a lot of passes. He's forcing receivers off of their routes. He's forcing them to kind of contort and catch balls in uncomfortable ways that is forcing a lot of incompletion. I mean, you look at 9 pass breakups last year, and the interceptions. I think he has a chance to, if Damani Jackson decides to go on to the NFL, he certainly has a role on this defense. And even if Damani Jackson decides to come back, you always use a depth guy.
Totally. 3 years remaining means to me, young guy that you want to keep developing and, already a year in college. If you lose Damani, Deshaun Jones becomes kind of your next man with experience, and Cam Calhoun backs you up. Obviously, Xavier Brown has a year under his belt now as well, so you're a little older in that room. Experience isn't as big of a need, but depth always is. You lost Jaleel Hurley. Are you going to lose Jalen Blackway to the offensive side of the ball? It remains to be seen. Is he going to be more of a two-way player, or is he going to go fully offense, or is he just going to dabble in offense? Like, well, what's that percentage going to look like? Whatever it is, you need more bodies in the back end. I think that especially, I mean, dude, you lost Zay Mincy out of that room. I mean, you walked into the year, Zay Mincy's a corner. 3, 4, 5 weeks into the fall season, Zay Mincy's a safety, and so you need the depth. I think again, big get for Alabama. Especially, look, gosh, Mason, how many people have you seen over the last week and a half? So-and-so is going to this school, rumored to get X amount of dollars, and you're just looking at it and you're like, that is a stupid amount. That's a stupid amount.
Another one this morning.
Georgia Tech to Auburn. Georgia Tech wide receiver to $1 million.
By all accounts, a fairly unproductive receiver last year for Georgia Tech. Now, I know it's Georgia Tech. They ran the ball a whole lot, but still, what are you doing? Yeah, I'm happy with the way Alabama has approached the transfer portal.
Look, I'm not naive. I do think NIL is involved here in all 4 instances, but I don't think it's like, hey, here's this blank check, whatever number you like, buddy. I think it's,
I'm pretty
we
sure,
got this much, you like it.
Be hearing about it.
Yeah. All right, so you get a linebacker and a corner. I think the biggest get is this offensive lineman, Cam Dewberry. I mean, biggest literally. But you look at what's going on in the offensive line. Dewberry enters the portal December 9th. He's got one. I think he's got one more year to play. He played in at least 4 games and all. Has one more year. Third transfer. This is from Katie. And look, offensive linemen are a little bit harder to project, but I'm pretty sure he went. Okay, yeah, here we go. Dewberry appeared in 12 games with A&M this past season, playing most of the time at left guard. He's played 5 games at left guard as a true freshman. He played left guard 13 games, and then a little bit at right guard as well. So he's interior. You're going to be losing Tyler Booker.
Just slot him right in.
We all like you, Gino Vandermark. But is Gino Vandermark an elite offensive lineman? What is going to happen with Jaden Roberts and his health? I think it's huge. I mean, and goodness gracious, what are you going to do at left and right tackle? We all expect Caden Proctor to return and be happy and healthy, but now reports of Caden Proctor going to be missing the bowl game because he's been dealing with a season-long shoulder injury. You just obviously Cam Dewberry can't play in the bowl game, but I think you look at a position going into the position group going into the 2025 season where you think, oh, we got 4 starters back. You got Caden Proctor, Parker Brailsford, Jaden Roberts, and Elijah Pritchett. We're set. This is a great unit. I don't know exactly if it's as solid as that.
Yeah,
yes, on paper it's that.
Go ahead. I think you're exactly right. It's kind of maybe similar to like the cornerback room a little bit where, there's some guys coming back that you feel good about, but top to bottom, you really maybe need a little extra in there. And Dewberry, whether he does take a spot as a starter or he just becomes a depth rotational guy, it's still great to have someone like that. You look at what Gino Vandermark did this year, being that kind of rotational guy where you saw him coming in for spells. And if they need that from Cam Dewberry, they can probably get it from him.
All right, so let's plug Gino Vandermark in starting left guard. Let's just, for hypothetical real quick. Hypothetical real quick, 2025, Caden Proctor, Vandermark, Brailsford, Roberts, Pritchett. Bam, there's your 5. But you want to have a good backup. You want to have good depth. So left to right, you're looking at Wilkin Formby. Right, Wilkin Formby, Cam Dewberry as your backup left and right, apparently. You got your boy Joe Ionata. It seems like he's been doing a lot of center work as your number 2 center. And then you look on the right hand side, you got Jackson Lloyd, and you've got all kinds of freshmen, all kinds of bodies all around you looking for Olaus Lenon's trying to plug in there at guard. You still got Rock Montgomery, right? Rock Montgomery is still on the team. Miles McVay's gone. You got Rock
play for
Montgomery.
Bill Belichick.
You got Casey Poe as well, still vying for action. So the offensive line has gone from, I think, in 2024, maybe a little bit thin, to now, I think, really robust and maybe 10 guys deep, which is people just didn't understand. That's the issue that people, you're taking over such a talented roster, Coach DeBoer. Yes, talented, but thin, extremely thin.
Yeah, this team lacked depth almost everywhere last year, and it was very apparent at times that they lacked that depth because they needed guys to make plays when other guys couldn't, and there was no one else to get the ball to on the offense or no one else on defense to step up and do something. So, while none of these transfer guys are necessarily like the flashiest names out of the transfer portal, I think they will all play a very, very important role in Alabama's team next year.
Absolutely. I think probably the guy that you're going to see the most is Isaiah Horton. What do you think about this? Just gives me more and more confidence in number 10 because we're going to go get a big-bodied receiver that can fly down the field that will go up and get it when you can sling that ball, Austin Mack. Isaiah Horton out of Miami gives me the chills.
Yeah, I absolutely love this pickup for Alabama. I think even with Jalen Mbakwe making the transition to receiver reportedly, they still needed a little bit of help on that offense, a little bit of help from the receiver position. Jeremy and Ryan are great, but they can't do it all themselves. You need a third guy who can be a consistent option, and I think Horton can definitely be that option. 6'4", 6'5", right around that. He is a massive target and just a jump ball receiver. You throw the ball, he will go get it, or he will make sure nobody else gets it. I think that's going to be great for this offense.
Mason, before we keep going on Isaiah Horton, our great friend Julian Lee jumps in on the Facebook machine, say, Merry Christmas, Joe Gaither and Mason Woods. I'd love y'all. Roll Tide and roll on. Julian Lee, we say Merry Christmas back to you. And I know that you recently had a birthday, 29, doing well. Happy birthday to you, Julian, and Merry Christmas as well. Thanks for commenting to us on Facebook. Anybody can comment on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and we will say hello to you or respond to your question, comment, query, or complaint. Okay, so Isaiah Horton, keeping going with him. Where's my tab right there? Katie Wyndham got a great write-up. 6'4", out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, had 56 catches for 616 yards and 5 touchdowns last season with Cam Ward in a crowded wide receiver room. Xavier Restrepo, Isaiah Horton, Jacoby. Golly, who was the other? Who was it? Jacoby. I'll have to look at it later.
Oh man,
you know who I'm talking about.
George.
It'll come to you in a second.
George.
Jacoby, thank you, Jacoby George. Overall, 70 catches, 790 yards, and 6 touchdowns. So really had his best year this year. Red shirt. He's gonna have 2 years left. 2 years left to play. And look, I think that you got a guy who will pair nicely with Ryan Williams, somebody who can take the top off the defense just like Ryan, but a little differently, and they'll be able to kind of mirror each other with some big plays down the field. And
thinking like T. Higgins,
I think
T. Higgins vibe.
Yes, I just think that you're seeing the pieces move, Mason. For this is what I want my offense to look like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've talked about it at length that, while this team had a ton of talent, and that's undeniable, this team was very, very talented at the top this year. They were limited with what Kalen DeBoer wanted to do offensively, with what Nick Sheridan wanted to do offensively, just by some of the pieces that they were forced to work with. I mean, this is showing you they are crafting exactly what they're trying to build. So just give it a little bit of time. Don't overreact to anything. Don't overreact to the first 9-3 season and however long. It's okay. They needed a little bit of time to get things going, and this is showing you right there. They're starting to build it the way that they want to.
Yeah, I'm really excited about what it's shaping up to look like. I think it's shaping up nicely. Like, oh, you're filling the holes, getting the depth. And really, my biggest pet peeve with the transfer portal is Billy 4-star, Billy 5-star commits to you as a freshman. He's on your roster 2 or 3 years, and he's up. He thinks it's his turn to start, and you go into transfer portal and you get somebody over him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's what's happening here with these 4 acquisitions. You look at the inside linebacker room. You need somebody there. I mean, you got no disrespect to the young men in that room, but you got young men in that room that maybe need a little more time to marinate. You're not taking anybody's spot right there. Maybe they're not quite ready. You look at the cornerback room. I think that really the cream will always rise to the top. What is it, Randy? The cream always rises. And he will, he's either going to play or not. But you saw this past season, you saw a great willingness to play a lot of corners. It was, hey, man, it's a fast game. You guys are rotating in and out. You saw a lot of corners. So it's not really a room where he's choking off anybody's opportunity. If Dewberry comes in and plays, it's because you beat out Vandermark, and I think that Vandermark's going to get every opportunity to be that guy, but really – you need the depth guy. We saw it this year. How many different times did Jaden Roberts not be able to complete a drive? How many times did helmets come off for Parker Brailsford? You needed that guy, Gino Vandermark, on the sidelines ready to go. And if that's Cam Dewberry next year, or if it's Vandermark again, like somebody's going to have to fulfill that role. Yeah. Same thing really with the wide receiver. You have lost countless wide receivers in the transfer portal, which is fine. We're not fretting over those guys. They're making their decisions for themselves, but you just need it. to replenish some bodies here. And so I don't really think that DeBoer is looking around the transfer portal thinking, well, I'm just going to go get the best guys available. I think he's really, and credit to Courtney Morgan as well, we're looking at the transfer portal, looking at how these guys fit into the dynamics of the locker room and of the roster.
Yeah, I think they're definitely continuing that same kind of philosophy that Nick Saban maybe approached the transfer portal with, where it was, we don't really care about the flashy names. We're going to get guys that actually we need on this team, and that's exactly what they did with these 4 players.
All right, Mason Woods, we'll keep following it. Transfer portal's got, 7-8 more days left. I think it's the 29th. So. Is that right? So that's that's this coming Sunday. That's this coming Sunday. We'll find out if I think Alabama was.
I think they might be done.
I think Alabama's players are done going in. Into the transfer portal. I think that you might be done, acquiring, but I think that I wouldn't be surprised if there's probably 2 or 3 more. But I wouldn't expect more than about 3 or 4.
No, there's still a couple names that you see kind of floating around out there. Maybe another receiver I've seen, another I think defensive player maybe. But I hope
you start running into opportunity issues. You start running into.
Is there enough room?
Yeah, right. Exactly. All right, Mason. So Alabama had a good weekend on the roster management front. Kind of a frustrating weekend when you reflect on, how the season went and really the college football playoff. Let's talk about the basketball game real quick on Sunday. Before we tell them about the basketball game, we want to tell everybody about Purple Total Roofing. They're the most reliable residential roof replacement company in Alabama and Mississippi. Whether it's addressing leaks, storm damage, or general wear and tear, Purple Total Roofing is going to be there to deliver exceptional roof repair for your property. Purple Total Roofing is the leading expert in local residential roofing solutions, specializing in providing unparalleled service and quality craftsmanship for all your roof replacement needs. Call Dustin Foley and his team today at 877-PT-ROOF-5 for your free roof inspection. That's 877-787-6635 to schedule your appointment, and one of their qualified employees will come check out your roof for free and make sure you're prepared for any and all of life's storms. You can check them out online today at roofturtle.com. You can find them on Facebook as well, Purple Turtle Roofing. You can see all of their work right there on Facebook. Dustin Foley, very active on the Facebook machine with Purple Turtle Roofing, and their work is beautiful. So not only if you need a new roof or make sure your roof is functional, but you can make sure your home is looking good with Purple Turtle Roofing. Mason Woods, massive complaint from the Joe Gaither personal department on a 12 p.m. Sunday basketball game. What are we doing here? I got church. I got responsibilities at church to do. I got to punch the slides, and I'm happy to do so, very happy to do so, absolutely. But church doesn't get over until 12:05. What are we doing here? I had to leave the service early. Get to Coleman Coliseum 5 minutes before tip-off, and watch the Crimson Tide play the sleepiest offensive basketball game I've ever seen. Ever is exaggerated.
Not that much, though. Looking at these numbers here, it was pretty atrocious for Alabama. You did get your over 1 point per possession, which is all fine and dandy, but you did that on, 25% three-point shooting and 45% from the field. Just atrocious. Yeah, it sounds like I barely even really got to watch a lot of it. I was kind of locked in doing stuff yesterday, but the little bit of highlights I got to watch from it, or the few clips I got to see from it, rather, it was like nobody in that building could buy a bucket.
Mason Woods was off playing good husband, father, son, brother, and we definitely encourage that, because you avoided watching this team go 2 for 17 in the first half from behind the arc. Just disgusting. It was just, okay, look, you go up to North Dakota on Wednesday and you go 97-90 and really just play a track meet, but just play a horrific defense. It was a flip-flop. It was really good defense most of the day. Now, combine that with Kent State not being able to buy a bucket. They didn't have a Trace and Eagle staff, but really good defense and really good rebounding. I mean, you had your season high in rebounds, 60 rebounds. Grant had
Pretty good.
14 or so, and Cliff had 12. Is that right? I know that both those guys had to over double.
Yep.
Grant had 14.
14 and 12.
And Cliff more right.
8 from Mo
So
D.
there was good. There was absolutely good. But goodness gracious, the bad, it just leaves me feeling so uninspired. Like I want to get up in my feels, up on my soapbox, and talk about how nobody can touch this team, how this team is this, that, and the other, unbeatable, and blah 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 blah. But I look across the state, and I look up north a little bit, and I look over into Kentucky a little bit, and I see 3 other teams, and down into Florida a little bit, 4 other teams in this league that can take Alabama to task if you continue to do the things that you have done. 19 turnovers. 19 turnovers is unacceptable. Now, Coach Oates, to his credit, was yanking fellows left and right yesterday. You have a turnover, boop, you out. You have a little bit of lazy moment on defense, boop, you out. He was yanking folks left and right. And so that was, from a fan standpoint, I think encouraging to see. He was holding them to account. And Coach talked about it after the game. He said, I don't really like to use the bench. Hey, you made a mistake, come to the bench. But he said the turnover problem is the turnover problem is just too much right now. He said the turnover problem and effort on defense are 2 things right now that I'm just really, really cracking down on that are really bothering me. Now, it seems like you got really, really good buy-in on the defensive end because you held Kent State to 0.73 on the game. Your first half, you held them to 0.61. Really, really elite, 24 points in the first half, and you tied your season low in points allowed. I know points allowed isn't always exactly right, but 54 points going back to your very first game with UNC Asheville. But I'm just still left, Mason, with such I'm not sure how this team's going to play in SEC play. If you do, Oklahoma hasn't lost yet, have they? And that's your first game. Of course, Oklahoma, Porter Moser, they're not playing the same schedule that Alabama's played.
Sure.
But you haven't
this
lost
team is
yet.
giving me no reason to trust them. I can't trust them yet. There's nothing, that I cannot place my faith in this Alabama basketball team at this point of the season. My family was asking me about it yesterday. Oh, what do you think about Alabama? I think they're a really, really talented basketball team. Do I think they'll win it? No, I do not. And because that's where I am right now. I think this team probably is, by most accounts, the most talented team in the country. Are they the best team in the country? They are not. And I think they're far from it right now. They just, I don't know what the issue is, but they can't play consistently night to night. And it's very, very frustrating to watch, or very frustrating to see.
Alabama, after yesterday's game, is up to 7th in offensive rating and 43rd in defensive rating. You were at in the 50s after the North Dakota game, so you jumped up from mid-50s to 43 in defensive rating. But you look across the daggum state, Auburn, number 1 in offensive rating, number 10 in defense. Tennessee, 14 in offensive rating, number 2 in defense. Okay. Florida, number 6 in offensive rating, 18 in defense. You got 3 better defenses and almost the same offenses. Oh, man, you still got a lot of room to improve. So, Mason, yesterday,
sure,
you still played all 11 scholarship players and Max Chernowski because of the blowout. Coach was talking about trimming the rotation. I'm just still in the camp. I'm still hopeful, maybe stupidly, that a lot of the things that we're upset about, a lot of the things that we're questioning, wondering about, will be fixed when he trims down the rotation. He talked after the game saying, oh, yeah, we want to, we still wanted to play a lot of guys this game and next game. But we think we can get it down. He said, we think we can get it down to 9 or 10 pretty quickly. So that means 2 guys are minutes gone. Getting sucked up. I wonder if he's playing Who am I going to play? Jaron Stevenson, how many minutes are you going to play compared to Darion Reed? How many minutes are you going to play Houston Millette compared to Chris Youngblood? How many minutes are you going to play Aiden Sherrill? I think Aiden Sherrill is probably the first guy that gets his minutes cut. Now, he only played like 9 or so, 11 or so yesterday, and Millette had 9 or so as well. So it was Millette had the fewest, and Sherrill had the second fewest. I think Sherrill's your first guy getting your minutes cut. I wonder about the guard play, the combinations of guards. Yesterday we saw a combination of, what was it? It was Youngblood, it was Millette, and it was Holloway in there with Diabate and, goodness gracious, Diabate and Darion Reed. So it was a really, some of these lineups we've been playing in the last couple of non-conference games have been a little bit junky, a little bit strange. And I'm still hopeful that, Coach is just still tinkering with some stuff, trying to get information, get data points into his big old computer so that when the clock strikes midnight on January 1, 2025, and conference play pretty much begins, he's going to have a better plan. He's going to have a plan that gives Alabama a really good chance and says, these guys are my 40 minutes a game guys.
Yeah, I think that's certainly still maybe at play. That could be part of it. I mean, you look at the splits from this game compared to last game. I think I asked you after the North Dakota game about what you thought of Modi only getting limit. I think he played less than 10 minutes that game, only like 8, maybe 10. And you kind of said, well, I think it's because you know exactly what you have in Modi. And I think maybe this game was because we know exactly what we have in Houston Millette after that North Dakota game. He was he was playing hard, playing with his hair was on fire in that game. And you come to this game and you would think in theory, all right, he'll get a chance to maybe play a little more. And then he only gets 6 minutes. And I think it's maybe similar to Modi, where it's just like, we know what we have in that guy. We don't have to try to see what he is. It's like, he's going to play really hard no matter what. And I definitely think you're right with maybe Sherrill being the first man out. I hate it for him. I still think he's a good player. I think he's just not fully there yet. He needs to incubate a little longer.
Nothing wrong with that. Really,
no,
nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. For the guards are very, very tough for me to make a decision because I just like all of them so much. And it's so hard to split that up. I think all of them do.
Youngblood's got a hairpin trigger. I don't know how much. I mean, obviously he's only played the 2 games, but that fella, his shot release, that's one of the fastest. It is in his hands and out of his hands so fast.
Yeah, between him, between LeBaron, between Mark, between Aiden, between I don't even anybody. It's going to be tough to split that up, I think. But I don't know. Each of those guys that I just listed off, like you got to get all those guys on the court somehow. I think they're all valuable. I don't know. I definitely think maybe next game we see another switching of this, the way the minutes get split up around. Maybe we see somebody else is the odd man out where he only plays 5-6 minutes and everybody else gets their 15-20. We'll just kind of have to see how it goes. I definitely think you're onto something though with the still trying to figure the lineup out.
Well, he's got one more experiment in him, and I think it's finally going to be time to kind of put the rubber to the road and kind of make some hard choices when Oklahoma comes into Coleman Coliseum, because Oklahoma is going to be a team to be respected. Look, you had, I think I counted it, eight SEC teams in the AP poll top 25. I guess a new one dropped, or it's going to drop later today. It's probably going to drop like within 10 minutes. We're at 11:48. If you're watching us live, I think it's going to drop at noon. You had 8 teams
best conference in
last week's AP poll, and you had five other teams in the others receiving votes. So like 8 and 5 is what, 13? 13 out of your 16 teams were at least represented somewhere in the AP poll. And people go, look, Mason, I'll get your opinion on this. Going back to the Vanderbilt loss, people used to say, oh, you've lost to an unranked team. Alabama lost to an unranked team. And I would say, look, they're in the AP poll in the others receiving votes. So they're ranked 27th. They're ranked 28th, whatever they were. And people would say, no, they're unranked. They're unranked. And I would say, we can do math and see that the next one, the first one in other receiving votes is 26. The second one is 27. The third one is 28. Okay, so please, don't agree with me just because you're my buddy. Am I wrong? Because I was trying to hammer that. So you fast forward this to current time. Alabama AP poll for the basketball poll. 13 teams. SEC has 13 teams represented in the AP poll, whether they're all in the top 25 or not. But there are 13 teams in the AP poll. Am I wrong, or was that my friends just messing with me?
I mean, I think I agree with that sentiment of if you're on the list, you're in the poll. You know, there's a reason that they have that category of others receiving votes. If it meant absolutely nothing, they would not put that on there because that information would be meaningless. So there's a reason they put it there. So it definitely means something. You know, whether or not you want to hammer the or bang the drum for, well, we beat 28, you know, that's on your own prerogative, but I do think it's there for a reason, and I do think it has at least some merit to it.
All right, so big SEC basketball season coming up, and Alabama basketball has one more non-conference game. All right, look, this coming Sunday, love this time. Thank you, administration and Coach Oates. 2 p.m. on a Sunday, perfect. You go to church, you have your lunch, you get over to Coleman Coliseum, you watch the boys play, you get home, Sunday nap it up, and then you wrap it. You're ready for the next week. That's perfect. Right. Thank you. Yeah, I can avoid the Chicago Bears during the midday Sunday, so I appreciate that. That's at noon, not so hot. 2 o'clock, really good time. So we will pay attention to everything that happens with South Dakota State Jackrabbits coming to town this coming Sunday. One more thing for you, Mason. I got to get your opinion. I am sitting in let me make sure I'm right here. Where's my right there. I'm sitting in the fantasy football semifinals, and we're doing pretty well. Having a good little week. Let's see, matchups. That's what I want. I need your opinion because I have a fairly large lead going into Monday Night Football, but one player can ruin my life. And it is an Alabama player. I wouldn't bring this up if it weren't an Alabama player. I do want to make it relevant to the audience here.
I know who maybe you're talking about.
Well, the Green Bay Packers have a fellow by the name of Josh Jacobs.
Yes, they do.
I suffered his wrath 171.92 minus 138 equals. I have a 33.58 lead. 33 points, 33 and a half. Pretty good. He's projected for 17. But Josh Jacobs has played in the 30s a couple of times this year. Will Josh Jacobs ruin my life tonight and score over 33 and a half points, putting me – this is the league, Mason Woods, where this past summer I spent 13 hours in Waffle House because I finished last place last year. What I want to do is – and I've been fairly quiet in our group chats about it, only a handful of – yes, I won this week, only the obligatory Tiger Lily. We have a historic name, and so we put on Ross. We put on Tiger Lily as our mascot from Peter Pan. So we'll drop a little Tiger Lily gif when we win. But we've been fairly quiet this year. What I want to do is go worst to first. I don't want to lose right here. Will Josh Jacobs score 33 and a half points, or will he serve me a nice 25 and let me on through to the finals?
There's a pretty good chance he could go for about 35 against the Saints. The Saints are awful.
That's terrible.
That's a bottom 5 rush defense in the NFL. I think it's a bottom 5 overall defense in the NFL. And, you're getting the Packers right as they hit their stride at the end of the season and start playing their best ball. That's a lot of points. That's going to be 34. If you
it's
get 34,
a ton.
35, that's going to be 150 yards on the ground, probably 2 touchdowns or so, maybe a few catches too.
Yeah, for just Saquon this past week had 27 for me with 150 and 2 rushing touchdowns. My boy Chuba Hubbard had 152, 2 touchdowns and 4 catches. He had 30 and a half.
So yeah, he's going to have to put a day up, but Josh Jacobs is certainly the player to do it. I would not feel super secure.
That's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be watching Monday Night Raw instead of Monday Night Football just to stay somewhat calm about that situation.
Yeah,
Not a whole lot of money on the
close.
line, but just pride, just to say I want to say I want, because look, you get in the
Impressive.
finals, you're in a dice roll, baby. You're in a dice, and this is a keeper league. So like a lot of these guys were with me when we went. Well, not a lot of them. I traded a lot. I said these guys are bums. Get out of here. We'll trade. We'll take what we can get for y'all. We've turned over the roster heavily with the Rossville Redskins, and we are going to try to be in the finals next week. So with that, we'll get out of here. We will watch Monday Night Football together anxiously, hoping that Josh Jacobs has a nice day. Look, man, Bama boy, have yourself a good. Even though you play for that terrible team up north, go have yourself a good day. But don't ruin my life by going over 33.5. Follow Mason Woods at MAWoods_ on the Twitter machine. Follow me at Joe Gaither 6 on the Twitter machine. We'll talk to you again tomorrow on Christmas Eve. We'll take Christmas and the 26th off, and we'll be back Friday to kind of give you, oh my gosh. Mason, have you watched any of Michigan? Michigan.
Not really.
Hail to
Watch beat
the
Ohio
victor. Dun, dun, bum, 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 bum. One of the classiest, one of the best fight songs in all of college football. Hail to the victors. We will talk about the Michigan Wolverines on Friday. So there's your assignment, Mason. We're going to watch a little Michigan before Friday's show. Even though, like, opt-outs galore for the Wolverines. We don't know who's going to be playing. I know Colston Loveland's not going to be playing. Mason Graham's not going to be playing. They got a lot of guys that are not going to be playing, but we will talk about it on Friday. We'll talk to you again tomorrow, and we hope you have a great Christmas Eve from us right here at the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com.